Okay. So once again, welcome everybody. I'm just a tech support now, right? It's Chandralata ma'am, the founder of Aakar Child Development Center, Navi Mumbai, the host, and a friend Bhagya Dinesh ma'am, who's thankfully for our benefit is still stuck in India, who should be flying back to the United States very soon, and we pray for that, ma'am. All of you are there. I think we will love to do a survey at the end of it. Where is everyone from? Mumbai, Bangalore. I see a lot of people from Kerala. Over to you, Chandralata ma'am, and then to Bhagya ma'am.
Yeah. Welcome everybody. We had a wonderful session with ma'am regarding the assessment and the basis for functional assessment and the modalities through which we can do the assessment. Ma'am has just given the notes yesterday. I will mail both the notes for today's seminar, for today's webinar as well as last time's webinar together during the weekend. Again, today we'll be recording the session. So if there are any difficulties or anything, please mute all videos and all microphones so that it's easier and we can concentrate better, and there should not be any kind of disturbance and all that except ma'am's PPT. We look into that. Again, I also request everybody to talk to me over the chat box, also on the WhatsApp, if you find any difficulty. Okay, Bhagya, over to you.
Okay, 1 second.
Ma'am, just disable screen annotation and start again.
Yeah, 1 second. How do I do that now?
No, ma'am, just unshare the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay, but it'll keep coming. Yeah, okay. And you can disable the, yeah, you can share again if anything like that. And you can disable the screen annotation for everybody.
Where did we do last time?
I'll help you, ma'am. Just go back to the screen. You'll have to switch on the screen share again.
Okay.
Happens, yeah. Share the screen again. Okay, once you do that, now
go to more.
More, yes,
and
yes.
Then disable participant. Okay, good. Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am. Chandra, ma'am, I'll be on phone. Anything, drop me a message or call me. All the best.
Now, thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Bhagya, it's all over to you. You can start off.
Okay, thank you, Chanda. So, good evening, everyone. Today, the topic of presentation is functional intervention overview 0 to 5 years. So, it's again going to be basics and overview of the process. Some of the information may be redundant, but it would be definitely beneficial to refresh our memory. And my job tonight is to facilitate the discussion, keep us on track, and record us with some thoughts. So let's go ahead and get started. And let me tell me something about myself. My name is Bhagya Dinesh. I'm a certified speech language pathologist since 2002. I have extensive work experience in pediatrics and geriatrics. I have worked in multiple settings such as public schools, skilled nursing homes, senior living communities, outpatient clinics, child find, early intervention program, and telepractice. Currently, I'm doing a full-time telepractice job in one of the public school district in California. I'm on a visit to India right now due to family reasons. I'm flying back soon next month or so. So I thought I'll join with this Aakar Child Development Center and equip myself and help the community here. So whatever we are going to talk, maybe because I've been there for for the past couple of years, maybe US based, but definitely the speech pathology course in itself, I am a foreign trained therapist. So when I moved from India to there, so it was not much difference except I have to do a supervised training to adapt to the culture and the work style, and then I had to take an exam. So definitely it is not much deviant from the style of work, or the energy is very same from here and there. So my humble request is, maybe I would be talking in terms of my style of work, but definitely please bear with me and tailor your the information whatever I'm providing with your child needs. So that means that be mindful. I know, it comes with practice and, more experience. So definitely if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, but, the process is very different, but the philosophy behind the intervention is much more or less the same. Okay. So thank you. Today we will be talking about intervention, brief introduction, principles of intervention and components of language, techniques of language stimulation, activities across age, ideas, and then conclusion. And after the presentation is done, we will have some time for asking and sharing. If we run out of time, you are always welcome to email and then I can get back to you. And bear with me, I'm going to share my PowerPoint. Okay, so as a certified speech language pathologist, we are all skilled, accountable, responsible to perform our duties. So always whenever, we are, doing an assessment or intervention or collaboration, so always be mindful and, bear with you in the mind that child is the focus, always and always. And please remember, parents are the captain of the ship, and they are there to advocate for their own child. So the main goal of our intervention is to help the parent to reach the fullest potential of their children and make the child safe, independent, and happy in life. So, everyone, most of the therapists in the team, I'm not sure if they are parents or, just new grads. So definitely when you become parents, you will know how much as a parent you will advocate for your child in the community. So I'm a parent of 3 kids. So definitely I am a very active participant in all of their, school program and stuff. So I will kind of, raise concerns if things are not up to the mark. If something is going off track, I'll kind of ask. And if things are going smoothly and I see some kind of, rewarding experience, I will, share positive gratitude towards the teachers. So why I'm trying to tell is like parents, speech therapists and parents, we work, around the clock. So make sure that we kind of remember them before we make goals. And as I was talking to you last time, the goal of SLP is what? Prevention, assessment, intervention, designing a program, data collection, analysis, collaboration, leadership, so etc. So we are done with assessment last time. So we are jumping into intervention right now. So as I was mentioning last time, communication, early communication, how it is essential over the early years and etc. So we understood that conversation with children can be cute, curious, challenging, confusing, or complex. So for a child to be interested in a partner, so we have to make something interesting. So we have to make sure that we understand the child. We have to understand what interests the child, so we can kind of grab the attention of the child, and then we can kind of share experiences with the child. So the goal of language intervention is to stimulate overall language development and to teach language skills in the context of everyday communication and academic success. So I was kind of talking to you all about last time, there are medical model, clinic model, and then the educational model. So medical model is like, 0 to 2 years, or when, the child has some medical conditions, we kind of work very closely with the, doctor offices and, doctors. And then, mostly, hospital based, the intervention would be like mostly early intervention or home based intervention. So Clinic model is like mostly outpatient clinics or development centers or private practices or things like that. Education model is like speech therapists working in a school setting. It could be like preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school. So overall, the idea behind intervention is language stimulation. But depending on the model, medical, clinic, and education model, the goals, how we address the activities may be different. So in the medical model and the clinic model, the goal is safety and communication in the community and home. In education model, the goal is helping the child for academic success. And goals are mostly written based on the developmental norms or based on the assessment that we do. And then I'm sorry, one sec. Oh. One second, I'm sorry. Got distracted. Okay, so the effectiveness of communication and academic and social success is the goal of intervention. So when we kind of set goals, we have to kind of really thoroughly understand the child from the language assessment, communication assessment that we did, and then we also have to consider the hearing, cognitive level, and the speech production skills, the anatomy, and also the severity of the co-occurring conditions. And then we also have to understand the cultural and linguistic background of the child and the family and the values and preference of the family. And because families make a big impact in everyone's life. So coming to the principles of intervention and components of language. So the basic principles of early intervention or effective intervention is for providing individualized intervention, and also the goal is to tailor the treatment goals to promote child's knowledge and stepping up from that level to the next level and keep going up in the ladder. So, the kids who are cognitively, typical, they are like, who are not impaired, we kind of go with the developmental norms. And then, depending on the current functioning of the child, we kind of, frame goals to give success. We kind of, go one step below and then kind of go from there and then go up. But in case of individuals who are severely impaired, what we do is mainly we have to analyze where the breakdown is, and then we have to kind of see where the breakdown in the developmental sequences is there, and then functionally we have to make sure that we kind of write goals. And then in preschool and early years, we know that the language and vocabulary rapidly grows. So we have to make sure that we have to know where the breakdown is and then go from there. So I'm not going into depth on the components of language today, because we have done in our bachelor's and master's program. Actually, components of language is like form, content, and use. In the form, it is phonology. In the content is form is like phonology, morphology, and syntax. And then content is semantics, and then use is pragmatics. So today's the topic of discussion is language intervention. So I'm not going into depth about the phonology intervention. So like in phonology intervention, we'll be working on speech intelligibility, or if the phonological processes is kind of deviant, we kind of work on that. So that the strategy, the goal is again the same is communication. So we kind of do like there is a hierarchy how we address the goals. So we go in that order. And then for semantics, basically it's vocabulary, and vocabulary is like verbs, pronouns, conjunctions, and basic vocabulary. And then semantic relationships, like how we join words to make a sentence, and how we add all the grammatical markers, like agent, actions, possessor, possessions, attributes, and everything. And then morphology and syntax is like how we add those ones again in sentence. The semantics talk about the content of the meaning, comprehension of how we put words together. Syntax is like how we put it in order and how things are, various sentence types, like question, for excitement, for greetings, and how things we kind of use. And then pragmatics is again, social skills, how we use language for social communication. So it's like a big topic, how flexible we are, how creative the child is, how the child is able to maintain eye contact, waiting turns, taking turns, initiating conversation, maintaining conversation, engagement in conversation, how the child is able to, participate in the play activities, if the child is sharing thoughts, or, flexibility in conversation. So treatment approaches in the early years is like, as I was kind of talking about, is for promoting functional outcomes. So based on that, there are two things. One is called the routine-based intervention training, and the other one is called family-guided routine-based intervention training. So routine-based intervention training is kind of, it's basically the early intervention I was talking about. It's 0 through 3 years mostly, and it'll happen in natural environment or home-based, where we kind of consider the caregiver and their capacity to use. And as SLPs, we build the caregiver's capacity in using everyday activities as a context for embedding instruction in the natural environment. So like home-based instruction, how as an SLP, we kind of, I was mentioning, right, home visits are done in 0 to 3 years, early intervention. So if the SLP is in the child care, how, the SLP can kind of, support the child care attendants and, making the child communicate needs and wants, and, ensure safety, and then also help the child care people to kind of facilitate school readiness for the kids. If the child is living in a home, we kind of help how we can use the toys and things in the house, or if we can provide them with some visual supports in helping. And we always we have to make sure that we collaborate with the families, caregivers, teachers, to develop child-specific strategies for their daily routines. And also we help them in generalization. Like, some skills are like speech therapy, as you all know, it's like only 30 or 40 minutes of training. But SLP's role is also more like caregiver training, caregiver guidance in making how we can carry over the activities that we do with the child. So basically what the system we do is in US is like, we have a model called 3:1 model. That means like in a month, if we are seeing the child for 4 times, if the frequency is like for 4 times a month, we do 3 times as the one-on-one, mostly one-on-one session or small group instruction. And the 4th one would be, observation in the classroom, or, meeting with the teacher, calling the parents, or, making a, like a bundle, like paper worksheets for the child, and then sending it home, and, taking the time to talk to the teacher in how the, or, go to the playground and, play with the child and see if, for example, if if we are working with a nonverbal child who is kind of still emerging with language. So we have kind of developed a communication book for the child. The child is in kindergarten, 5-year-old. So what we can do is we can go on the 4th week, we can go into the classroom during a snack time, or if the child is having a recess time, like a playground time, we can go and see if the child is requesting. For example, they are having we can do like a social skills group in the playground. We can have like bubbles, or like balloon balls, or like a lightweight balls, and then we can see if the child entice the ball or the balloon or the bubbles in front of the child, and gain the attention of the child. And then what you can do is, if the child is kind of showing interest, we can have the picture of the bubbles or ball or whatever, and then point to it, and then you can have like a paraeducator or a helper take it, like take the Velcro like off the picture and then give it to the SLP, like okay, can I want whatever the thing, and then okay, then we can have the child go and invite a peer to play with the play and like for popping, and then the SLPs or the adults who are helping can also be a part of that. So what happens is that 3 weeks you're kind of doing some activities in a setting, and then the 4th week you can kind of make time for generalizing your goals. And then the next one is called the family guided routine based intervention model. So this is also kind of very similar to the routine based program, whatever I was talking before. But apart from facilitating the caregiver, to use the context and environment in using, we do like a lot of caregiver coaching. And for interventions, we help them to make a lot of materials, and or we guide them to buy materials, or we guide them to loan things, and then and then also we kind of teach them and show them how we take data during our sessions. So we can give like a data sheet to the family to give it to us. So this is like like more or less like a parent coaching, where if we have kids who are kind of a little severely retarded, or who are having like a lot of behavior issues, or if early like 2.5-year-old child or 3.5-year-old child who will not sit one-on-one with the speech therapist, what we can do is we can try try 5 or 6 sessions, and then even then we kind of are not getting success. What we can do is we can say, hey, these are the goals that is for your child, and then how about doing some, and then writing a coaching plan, and having mom or dad as a coach. We can kind of have a contract with the parents. You don't have to spend like 3 or 4 hours every day, maybe twice, in the morning twice, or in the evening twice, like with intervals of time. So for example, if we are working on eliciting communication for needs and wants, like pointing to some whatever needs or wants. So you can do as of like you do not know anything, and then the child, the second parent, like if the mom is working in the kitchen, the dad can kind of walk with the child to the kitchen and have do a hand over hand help in calling the mom, as and then the dad can help in imitating, and then modeling, and the child can imitate, and then dad can kind of hold the child's finger and help in pointing, and then the mom can be rewarding when the child points to it, and mom can kind of do some verbal praise and kind of expand on the whatever the child's needs are, and then open and label whatever the child wants. And so we can do like a parent caregiver coaching, and that is the family guided routine things. So it is for basically implementing our communication goal. So this process, I was kind of telling, right? So it involves like some steps involved. It's joint planning, observation, action or practice, reflection, feedback. So joint planning is what? Like you can take time with your parents to learn the style of the child over the day. And then you can do some observation a few times where you're going in for therapy. Maybe therapy may be unsuccessful, but definitely you can take notes and understand the child, and come up with an idea, and then you can do like an action plan and give some practice with the family there. Like you can be like a friend or a family along with the parents and the house when the child is moving around. And then after that we can take some time to talk to the family to reflect, hey, you know what, the child was kind of trying to come to us when maybe pretend that you're taking a toy with what the child likes, and sometimes the child is busy or child doesn't want to participate, but still use wind up toys or cause effect toys or noise makers, and then take a little pause and then again do something, and then you gain child's attention, and then you can kind of tell the family how you did that, how you did some kind of an activity to attract the child for and how you can kind of also you can talk to the parents about how if the child is playing with Legos or blocks, you can always teach or show how you can be a part in when what the child is doing, like in the child-led activities. So you can kind of say, hey, can mama help you in making building tower? And then you can put maybe sort out, like okay, let's sort out all the blue, all the green, all the yellow, and then okay, let's do a building or a tower with all the blues and all the greens. Okay, and then you can pretend as if you don't know what color, and then you can kind of say matching activities can be done. So whatever the child is doing, you can kind of jump into and then get the interest. And then you can, as an SLP, you can give the feedback, in that session, mom was very curious about what the child was doing, and mom was very, she was using like a lot of enriched language to support, you can either document and keep, or, you can have a data collection sheet, what you can give mama, or, as an SLP, you can, go in for some visits and do some parent coaching. And if things doesn't work for SLP to kind of go in, you can have them, and the next parent, like whoever is playing with the child, the other parent can, or the other friend can videotape and send it to you. So coaching is like for direct teaching, modeling, listening, questioning, guided practice, problem solving, and prompting. So it's really not a easy cupcake. So it definitely needs a lot of creativity, a lot of patience, perseverance. No child is going to say, hey, oh, this is a ball, this is a ball. Nobody is going to repeat after you. It all comes in practice. You first introduce, you kind of introduce the same concept in different scenarios, situations, and then reward the child, and then again a lot of reinforcements. So whatever the level of the child always has to be in your mind, and then how moving forward is very, very important. And this coaching process, the family guided routine based intervention model, it's supporting how to have a continuous engagement and ongoing self-assessment for learning. So as a family also, the parents will start realizing, hey, you know what, all this time I was not spending time with the child. Maybe that is a reason, that lack of stimulation. And also, sorry. And also it helps to develop new skills or plans for us. Maybe that we wanted to work on pronouns, but if the child is not even labeling things, we are like labeling things like one word stage and nouns, right? So instead of jumping into pronouns or prepositions or using action words, so maybe you can kind of by doing this caregiver coaching and observation, we can kind of come up with a plan that, okay, oh, this is not the right goal for the child. Okay, so let me sit with the family or myself and think about the child again, and then the needs of the child, and then rewrite the goals for the next couple of weeks. And also, it is very important that we communicate as often with the family what we are doing, why we are doing, and also make sure that you give hopes to them. Make sure that you're empathetic when you're talking to them. So coming to the techniques of language stimulation, again, the group that I'm talking to you today, you guys are all speech pathologists, so I don't have to go word by word. So language enhancing strategies, we are all parents, we are all professionals, so we have been doing our job, but just this is a refresher course to kind of, remind everyone, each of us, including me, what are the strategies, what are the ideas available. So I am open to ideas, and as you guys are, and then we'll make sure that we learn from each other. And language enhancing strategies is like, again, it should be more family centered and child centered. There are a couple of things like quantity based strategy, responsive strategies, directive strategies, multimodal strategies, engagement based strategies. So I was kind of talking about the principles and things like that in the last couple of minutes. So it's all basically same. Like responsive strategies is like what? Focus on self-talk and parallel talk and imitation, expansion. So I was kind of giving you an example, right? A child, you're working on pointing. So the pointing or making the needs and wants known inside the house. So mom, when she is kind of working, the adult mom can kind of say what they're doing. Oh, for example, Ron, Ron, can you come to the table? Mama is making breakfast for you. See, mama is taking 2 pieces of bread and mama is putting, jam, and then we are going to put the bread on. When mom is making a sandwich, she's kind of, she can talk what she's doing. So it's self-talk. And then parallel talk. And when I was giving you example, right, the child is playing Legos or blocks, you can always kind of comment, oh, Ron, did you pick up the red blocks? Ron, can you see if you had any yellow blocks? And, you can involve and ask him what he's doing, or, talk to him what he's been doing. And then sometimes the child is still emerging with words or phrases. So you can have them, oh, this is a red block. So Ron, can you say red? And then can you ask mama, give me block? And then, you can support with hand over hand, or, you can do like a lot of other stimulation. And then expansion, for example, if you're drawing a picture, and then, or if you're playing with the car, oh, the car, it's a blue car. You can kind of talk about, the attributes of the car. Oh, it has got 4 wheels. Okay, Ron, can you count? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many wheels? There are 4 wheels. See, mama is showing 4 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can take turns and, you can expand on one. Okay, let's open the door. Okay, who's going to sit in the front? You can kind of talk a little bit more and, and guide the child in developing language. And then directive strategies. Mostly this is like for 4 years and above, maybe 3-4 years, where they do not have, other severe conditions. So who are like, typically developing in other areas, but, late talkers, you can kind of say, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about the car now? Have you ever seen this before? You can kind of make yourself that you're very curious, and, as I was telling you, please remember, reinforcement is very important. And your tone of voice, your facial expression, and, you have to make sure that the child feels that you're there for the child. If the child is feeling, oh, this person is not helping me, or, make sure that you kind of come down to earth and, be with the child. So tell me more about, Ron, what do you know about this? For example, an apple. So you can always talk about, okay, let's go find, and then, you know, if you have a phone, you can kind of, you know, make him, you know, you can read to him. You can kind of see, oh, you know, where does this apple come from? Apple tree. Can we draw an apple tree? And then, you know, you can say, okay, mama is going to draw one and you're going to draw one. So you're kind of, you know, engaging activities. So for kids who needs a little bit of fine motor support, you can always collaborate with the occupational therapist. So what are the activities you can do at home, you know, where you can do language and fine motor activities. So multimodal active strategies. So this is what I've been talking about. You can always touch and then, you know, use gestures, visual supports. And then engagement based activities is like, you know, you can do a lot of play, imaginative play with the child directed play, shared reading, your turn, my turn. So I was kind of, you know, as we all know that, you know, the children kind of change rapidly and families also respond very differently. So we have to have periodic assessment. We have to have good data collection. Quality wise, quantity wise, data collection is very important. One thing is to back up, you know, the work what we are doing. So we are all licensed speech therapists. So we have to make sure that we have follow some kind of ethics and we follow some kind of protocol in our settings. It could be school, it could be home-based, it could be data collection is very important. For example, a child, you know, I'm seeing a child in Mumbai. The child is kind of migrating to US. So what I can do is if I have a friend or a family in Mumbai, they can kind of, if they know a speech therapist, you know, like last session I was telling, so I had a friend from Chennai who referred a client to me. So I did not get any reports from them. You know, no, none of the SLP from that place contacted me. It's all what mom gave me information. I kind of, you know, stepped up on that, and then I kind of started the session. So if the speech therapist would have, you know, shared some notes, or, you know, definitely I'm positive, you know, when she was migrating to US from Chennai, she would have told, you know, I'm stopping my sessions and I'm going to US. So as a certified and qualified professional, that person should have given a progress note. Okay, hey, I've seen this patient, like this child, run for 10 sessions, and, you know, in the sessions we have been working on this, and caregivers have been, you know, educated on these strategies, and, you know, in case of any questions or queries, please contact. So it is like a professionalism to kind of, you know, write a little note, thank you note. For example, I'm referring a case to Chanda. So Chanda has to kind of, you know, what she has to remember is, oh, you know, Bhagya referred the case, like this child, to me. So I have to kind of say thank you to Bhagya, telling that, okay, thank you for, you know, referring Ron to me. And then, you know, I am positive that I'm going to be, you know, very helpful, and we are done with the assessment and we are in the process of, you know, intervention planning. So one note kind of, you know, everybody can be in connection, in loop. And then it also helps in, you know, community upliftment. And also, you know, we can all, you know, one day we may see each other. So it's very helpful in those. And then data collection is very important for one more reason, is for research purpose. For example, the state kind of questions, okay, you know, yeah, they're going to do a survey in the city of Mumbai, okay, on the kids with disabilities. So you can be a part of the research program. So definitely over the time, you know, it would be helpful even for the families to know graphing, you know, oh, you know, my child was able to do 50%, you know, last 3 weeks before. Now the child is doing 75%. So wow, I know. So it will be very helpful for giving a visual feedback for the child. So what I do is, you know, I do a few things when they enter my, you know, office in my school. So I kind of do a chart paper, and where I write all the students' names, and then we do like a sticker. And for every visit they come, you know, they have a, how did they feel, how did they do. So I have a feelings, emotions picture at the start. So when they come, they have to rate their emotions. How have they been feeling until the time they reached me? And then after 30 minutes, when they go back, how they did. And then, if they are putting their best effort today, they have been very successful, or they needed a lot of help. So depending on that, we do like a red, green, or yellow sticker. So if they didn't participate well, or they have been kind of wiggly, or things like that, they put a red sticker. And if they have been like good and effort, so I have a prize box where I have like these pencils or erasers, or small toy cars and sharpeners and stuff like that. So once end of the month, or in that 3 months, we kind of do pick and choose. And then I definitely I'm not saying that for kids who did not perform well, do not give prizes, but definitely to make the child a little bit more accountable. The data collection is very important, and then the quality of work improves. Even for you, as a therapist, you will feel, oh, I think I'm kind of lagging. I know the parent involvement is more, so I think I have to do this, I have to do that. So it's all goes in circles: the child, the parent, and the speech therapist. And also it helps the child to be more accountable too. Okay, mom is kind of very on top of the home carryover activities. How I can help mom, so everybody starts thinking, and then it kind of goes in circles. And also what I do is in the schools, I kind of I was telling you, right, the 3:1 model. The 4th week, I go into the classroom. I kind of do like a little party, pizza party, or some kind of craft work, which is open-ended. So I kind of do a group like of 4 or 5 kids from like not too deviant in their skills, but definitely I match the group to make sure that they can kind of do like a little social group. And it is very helpful because sometimes when you call the kids one-on-one session, they may not give you a lot of input, but that 4th week, or it kind of helps rapport with the therapist, and also it helps in getting to know the student a little bit more. So when we do the home-based intervention, this all can be done even in the house. So the 4th week could be like a little open-ended game, or open-ended interview with parents. And parents, you can give room for parents to say, hey, you can say what are the ways in which I can improve, and what are the ways you can improve the make the setting a little bit more structured. So activity ideas. So that is the main topic of discussion today. So I have a table of things that I'm going to share. If you, so can you all see? So I will go over this again, but I kind of wrote things like, what are the target skills, what are the activities, and then where you can use it, or any other specific recommendations. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go over, and then we can come to that again, okay? Okay, so again, 0 through 5 years, right? I was talking into your words. So 0 to 1 year, usually we call babies. So as you all know, play, 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 talk, talk, talk with your child is a keynote. Hugs and kisses, the closeness and cuddling. And then we can do a lot of peekaboo games, and then we can do a lot of hide and seek. We have to make sure that we gain the attention of the child, either with all those rattles or noisemakers that I was telling, and then create a demand, close things in a jar. Like maybe we are kind of trying to talk about, labeling, or we are trying to work on pointing, we are trying to work on, creating a demand for the child to attend to the adult. So keep something what the child likes inside a jar and close it. And then, maybe, roll that, transparent jar around the baby. And then, so the baby is kind of crawling, or baby is kind of trying to reach. And then when the child is kind of reaching or crawling, so what you can do is you can kind of do like a verbal exaggerated expression. Wow, you wanted this. What do you want? Then, you can have the open, and then engagement. Oh, mama is open. You can do like a lot of self-talk and parallel talk. You want it? Oh, thank you. And then you can kind of make sure that, you're kind of having that whatever thing in front of you. So the child is kind of looking at you. So you're working on eye.
Hello. Ah, okay. 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 Ma'am is coming back. Just a minute. Let's just keep it a little bit of discussion here. So she's just joining back with the internet. There's some problem with her internet. It's raining pretty heavily in Calicut, and she's come down to town to actually connect to the whole the webinar. Any difficulties that we would like to discuss? Is there anything we would like to discuss? You all can unmute yourself, and we can have a short discussion till the time she comes back. Okay. Okay. Yeah, she's joining it. She's joining it. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So we were talking about babies. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Bhagya.
Okay, one second.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we can do some social games like peekaboo, hiding toys or objects or pictures, or even, as an adult, you can put the blanket on you and then make sure the child kind of crawls, or, entice the baby, and then, open and then talk about whatever. And then label the body parts when you massage. When you take a shower, when you give the baby a bath, you can do like, you can tickle the baby, you can kind of label the body parts, count, the fingers, and then always make sure that you kind of make sure that, you kind of go to the baby, away from the baby. So the baby is kind of in the same position, but you are kind of going to and fro back. So the child is and then do a lot of eye tracking activities. Like you go behind, you go on the side, all of those, skills with the baby. And you can also use a lot of noise makers, rattle, wind up toys, popping bubbles, pretend play with dollies, kitchen sets, wax veggies, you kind of ask for food, and then all of those pretend things you can do. You can see, if you
What happened? Yeah, yeah. Please repeat from the slide that you were doing, the baby slide only that you were doing. The baby second slide, you start from there only. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Bhagya, if you could start from the baby section, yeah. Babies and next page. You can start with the next page.
Okay.
Start from there, please.
Okay. Yes, 1 second.
All good there? There's an internet connection problem. What's the issue?
I think it's getting better. I don't know. The whole day the electricity was off, so I had to travel somewhere to get it. But I think it's okay.
We back? Okay?
Yes,
no
yes,
problem?
yes. Yeah,
can
no
carry
problem.
on?
Yeah,
Please.
This
Please
crossing thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so noise makers, rattles, wind-up toys, popping bubbles, pretend kitchen set, wax, veggies, wooden blocks, animals, shapes, colorful cup stackers, cloth tunnels for the babies to crawl through, cloth books, board books, pull toys, puppets, balloons, cars, bathtub toys, sandbox, rice bins. So these all sandbox and rice bins, please remember, if the child has some mouthing issues, you can use it when the, baby become toddler or, around 3 years old. Make sure that an adult is supervising. And then we can also use like laminated pictures in these sandbox or rice bins to make sure that, okay, you can play taking turns to identify things. And so we can also do finger painting with the babies. And then for kids who are very little, and then, who has, poor postural control or head control, eye contact, you can use a flashlight, and, holding the baby very close to you, and then make sure you see yourself, and, you can do a little play with the baby. And then you can do for eye gaze and eye shift and things like that. And then when the baby is about to, on the tummy, or, you can put some toys, and, you can have the baby make choices to you. You can ask, oh, give me, small things. You can have 2 things, and then have the baby label something and give it to you. And then when the baby is sitting on a high chair, the baby is not going to understand a lot of stuff, labeling and stuff, but definitely, making a choice. You're kind of developing some strategies, and some skill development is happening, making a choice from 2 things, pointing, attending to people, engagement, social skills of, trying to adjust and adapt to, another person, in your vicinity. And then you can also have a bedtime routine of reading the book when the child is about to sit on the lap. You can hold the baby with your hand, and then, you can have the baby's right hand, and then you can do like a reading with a cloth book or baby book. And then, as the baby kind of gets used to, the baby will start following directions of, okay, turn the page, my turn, your turn. You can kind of work on that. 1 year old, and when the child is about 2 year old, if you're going to have a routine for some number of months, definitely the child is going to start tracking, and and then when you're getting the baby dressed, you can have the baby make a choice. You want this or you want this? No and yes. You can always talk about the colors. Oh, you are so lovely with the red dress on you. And, mama is buttoning the shirt. How many buttons you have? Counting the buttons. And sometimes, you can kind of pretend as if you don't know how to tie something, or, do you need help? Yes. And then, yes and no questions, and, asking for help, and, head nod, all those facial expressions, and also making decision-making, like choices. And then, making the child kind of problem solve things. Okay, we are getting dressed now. What next? Okay, go find your shoes. Mama is going to get my bag. And then, oh, I don't know where I kept my bag. Can you go walk and get my bag? So you're kind of working on, functionally the concepts like bag, shoes, dress, colors, and the concept of going out. Before going out, what all you do. Once you come back from outside, you can say that, okay, it's time. We are all done with our outing. We are going to go wash our hands now. We are going to go back, and, you can use a lot of first and then talkings. Language can be, different. In my mother tongue, my primary language, I am going to say in my own ways. But in English, like, you're going to say first, play, then eat. In your whatever language you can use, but adapt it to your, dialect and intonation. And then when the baby is about to starting to engage in show interest in, adults, you can do like a dress up, and then do a backyard walk, stroller walk, community walk. And then, in that way, you can go visit your friends a little bit. But right now, the situation is really bad. But definitely have these ideas stored in your mind when you do like a caregiver coaching for the future. Coming to the toddlers, this is kind of overlapping from the baby and, the next group. But definitely a description of actions and exchanges happens here. And the child would start responding to you depending on the severity of, the delay. And then if the child is kind of pointing to something, for example, fan, And you can always, I was telling you, right, expansion, extension, and self-talk, parallel talk. You can use all of those strategies put together. Oh, should Papa on or off the fan? Off, maybe the baby wants you to switch on the fan. Then the baby would say no, or shake the head and then say yes, and then okay, I am going to switch on the fan for you. Kids, because on and in is like anterior sounds, right? So it's going to be easily visible to the child, and then the feedback can be given. So there are like a lot of one syllabic meaningful words like go, on, no, and then some of the things like stop, and then you can kind of come up with whatever your language is. You can come up with one word kind of helping us to say like a whole sentence, like fan. So on, so that kind of improve, like facilitates a little bit more conversation engagement with the child, right? On, what do you want Papa to on? You want fan? Okay, Papa is switching on the fan. Do you want to help Papa? Oh, pretend as if you cannot reach it. And then, you can have, do you need help? Yes and no. So a lot of things, it's all more creativity. And then exaggerated facial expression with loudness and intonation always adds spice to our conversation. And then you can do a lot of finger games, and then massage the body again, like I was kind of talking.
Yeah, Daud? Yeah, yes.
Right, then absolutely we can have it now. I think ma'am's gonna, Bhagya ma'am, you in? Sorry, I just barged in.
Yeah. I am very
Yeah.
sorry. I have to apologize. I live in Kerala now, and there is like a monsoon happening here, and the
No, no,
electricity
ma'am, don't
is.
worry. I think what you're sharing is wonderful. It's the knowledge you're sharing, and I can see the kind of topics that really detailed. So all the participants are those who are really keen into learning. What I thought is I'll do a little quiz with your participants, ma'am, with your
Oh
permission.
yeah, no problem.
And
Yeah, I'm open for it.
I don't know the background. How many of them read a lot of stories? It's a it's an intensive language learning course. So can I do a story quiz? Chandralata ma'am, is that good?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Is
I'll
intensive.
also participate.
I hope everybody's read a lot of stories when as a kid. So it's it's just something interesting. So if you have, you can unmute yourself and also speak up. You can use the chat. So without much other, ma'am, I'm just sharing my screen, so I'll just stop yours. But it's not a long
Yeah.
quiz. It's just a short quiz I keep doing. So all right, here we are. This is a quiz that is called Name That Story quiz. You can see that on the screen, and it's a very simple quiz. All these stories you read as a child and how you develop your learning skills is I'll teach you some strategies. I'll not take too long time. Bhagya ma'am is the instructor, not me. I'm more like a filler here.
Yeah, we use these ones for picture description task, and
absolutely.
Yeah. We can say, hey, can you know? Tell me, are there animals here? Yes. And what are the animals here? Can you point to the animals? And do you see somebody dressed in blue? And then they can point to it. And then is she happy or sad? Oh, I see a baby girl with a dolly. Can you show me the dolly? You can use this picture for a lot of language.
Wow. So
I can
there you
do
are.
a
You
session for 10, 15 minutes.
Already got a session from here from ma'am, and that's how a good teacher is. So let's start. I have got 10 stories for you, maybe 12. All right. And I'm going to ask you, and let's see. Chandralata ma'am and Bhagya ma'am, don't answer. I let the participants answer. They're going to answer everything. So participants, be on the dot, right? And the winners will get how much? 1 crore from Aakar Learning Center. By the way, we wish our Big B all the best. So here is, I'm going to show you, I'm going to read a line from the story, a description of the story, like here, then the picture, and then they tell me the story. So here is a very, very common story we heard. A biscuit runs away, chased by lots of people, until tries to cross the river with the help of a fox. What story am I talking about?
Gingerbread Man.
I told Chandralata ma'am not to answer. So this is the story.
Well, I have done. There's this on Starfall. It's there on Starfall. It's an animated version.
Okay.
I've done it with plenty of my children. That's why I know the story.
Hey, Chanda doesn't have to give your 1 crore to anyone. You can have it.
Yeah, she has it now. So that is the gingerbread man, and you see,
Bhagya, I'm smart enough to keep that 1 crore with me.
Yeah, see, that's why she answered the first one. Okay, no more money for answering it. But now, see, the best part of the story, I think Bhagya ma'am can attest to it, is the conversation around it, isn't it? As a mother, you can start asking, have you made gingerbread man? What kind of gingerbread man you make it? What is it? A cake? Is it a pancake? Is it a cookie? Go ahead, just tell me something about this story. Go ahead, Chandralata ma'am, Bhagya ma'am, others. Any one thing, and we'll keep doing that for all the stories we do.
I think that she baked gingerbread is a type of a cookie, and it gets baked, and then I did the story long back. So then it comes back out of the oven, and then there's this chaos, that this
and
type of
and it
person
keeps
is
running away, isn't it? Wow.
Oh,
and there's so many connotations with this. A child who is having problems being bullied can relate to a gingerbread man. I mean, that's just a side note, but I'm here. Okay, this is another story. These are not, first 5 stories are not very popular. Then I'll make some easy ones also.
This is Billy Goats.
Oh, that's nice. So your instructors know all the stories. The hungry goats want to eat, and there are 3 goats out there.
3 Billy Goats.
Yes, that's 3 Billy Goat Gruffs. That's the story. Fair enough. Okay. So, we're talking about a lot of. Okay, here's a quick question for everybody. What's the plural of goat? Easy one. Come on, everybody. I teach pre-primary also, so I have to ask these questions. What's the plural of goat? Everybody, just use your chat. Come on, and trust me, do not feel shy for wrong answers. You'll never learn if you give. Right, Rasina ma'am. Thank you. Your daughter loves the story. Wow. Go ahead. I love that answer, ma'am. Okay. The plural of goat, of course, is goats, right? What's the plural of sheep? That's the question, actually.
It's a irregular plural. Yeah, sheep, sheep.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a sheep is sheep itself, and that's a lesson we are learning
Fish,
about.
fish. What else? You know, we work on regular, irregular plural, regular past tense, irregular past tense.
Wow.
So like, you know, read and read is an irregular past tense, like unlike wash and washed.
Okay, all right, ma'am. This is
Yeah, so
interesting.
wash and washed is like, you know, you have like rules of grammar where you add ed, like a
Yes.
regular ed. So when we put the goals, what we do is will retell a story using irregular past tense
Wow.
or
So I
regular
think
past tense.
there is a session out there itself on that. Let me go ahead with my story, a little quiz. But I enjoying what you're saying. You know, read and read is something that people always confuse with. Okay, here's my third question. This is something both of you should not say my instructors, my mentors here. I've learned a lot from you, both of you rather.
A
For
little
only the
girl,
participants,
grandma.
a little girl visits her grandma who looks different. She seems to have big furry eyes, long nose. What am I talking about? What story? Please tell me you know the story. Come on. To make it easy, here is a picture of this girl. You know there is a word, there is a color in a
Red
story.
Riding
You
All
know, I
right.
should have my daughter with me.
Oh, thank you so much. Somebody said the answer and Shruti ma'am replied to it. It is the Red Riding Hood. So
Red Riding Hood, yeah.
wonderful. Oh, you like doing good.
Thank you.
So what are the lessons anyone can add on? Red Riding Hood, what can you talk about it? There's so many things you can add connotations to it. You know, like visiting your grandma is one, going and speaking to people who are in pandemic with best time to connect with your people. You know, these are stories that are telling us. All right, I'll not give you gyan. That's not my role. I'm here to make a quiz. Okay, here is another quiz, another story we've learned as a kid. Some pigs live home. They make different houses. A wolf pays a visit. There's a house made of hay. There's a house made of brick. There's a house, and the wolf does huff puff and the house blows off. Tell me, what story am I talking about?
Upasna is given.
Tell me, yes, Upasna, please tell me, what story are we talking about? You know
Oh,
the story.
I know this one.
Right. Don't worry, no one's getting you 1 crore check, anyone, so you can tell me, all of you. Should we take the money from them if they give a wrong answers?
I'm sure they're not ready for it.
All right. Tell me, go ahead. The participants are doing wonderful. Go ahead. This is not a assessment. It's just something that we want to do, participate and talk about it.
Three Little Pigs? No.
Yes, absolutely. It is the Three Little Pigs. Right?
Three Little Pigs, right?
Yes, yes, this is a story. All right, I'll do 2-3 more stories. Is it going fine? This is very interesting again. A little girl goes into a cottage. She finds in the wood. She eats some food and then breaks a chair, goes to sleep in the little bed. Oh, okay, lovely, lovely. That's the answer.
Goldilocks.
Oh, yeah, Goldilocks.
Wow, I can see your kids around. I'm so happy if they're part of the session. I'm proud of that. This is nice. The Goldilocks and the Three Bears, isn't it? On a side note, just I read a lot of science part of my learning. They call Earth as the Goldilocks condition, like the best condition, the perfect condition for life to form. That is why they call Earth, our own Earth, as a Goldilocks planet. Interesting trivia I thought I'll share with you. All right. Here's another story. I think anyone who gets it wrong is a very, very bad spouse. All husbands must know this story. A girl leaves a prince palace at midnight.
Cinderella.
All right. Oh, okay. This is like, I'm raising 3 daughters, so I know the Cinderella story is a part of my history. Whenever girls are upset, buy them a pair of shoes. A good pair of shoes can change your life. That's the story's moral. All right, let me do one more. Okay. In fact, I'll do 2 or 3 more. A little boy grows up on an enormous beanstalk, finds a giant castle and a special goose. Which story am I talking about?
Jack and the Beanstalk.
Wow, now I can hear a lot of voices. I'm so happy. It's the Jack and the Beanstalk, isn't it? Okay, a quick question. What did Jack sell, by the way, to get these beans, special beans?
3 coins. The cow or something like that.
The cow, right, ma'am?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we are going back to all our nursery stories. And I'm proud, ma'am. This is a great participation that you get. All right. This is another one. Welcome, ma'am. And here is another one. A man grows an enormous vegetable but needs a lot of help to pull it up. Difficult one?
John Thumb.
This is the big
John
turnip
sir?
story.
Oh, yes, yes. See, look at Chandralata ma'am. It's the enormous
It's an
turnip.
enormous turnip.
The enormous turnip, the enormous
There
turnip.
you are. You know now how much time she's spending in the kitchen, isn't it, Bhagya ma'am? Look at she knows all the
No, no.
vegetables now.
How much time I'm spending in therapy with the children?
Oh yes, you know all the stories. Okay, let me do. I think this is the last one that's here for all of you. This is the story of the hen that plants, grows, wheat, grinds flour, makes bread, and helps other animals. It's a nice story. What story am I talking about?
Daud, you must tell them you haven't
The
given
little
me
red
the
hen.
Yes, sorry, Red Riding. Yes, ma'am. I didn't hear you. Tell me what.
Yeah, you do tell them that you have not given me the answers before. Huh? Otherwise, they'll think that just because we are
No.
organizing, I may know the
I think they
answers.
trust you that all the therapy work you're doing, the amazing work you're doing. Yes, the little red hen. That's all that we've got. Oh, we got one more. I'm sorry. I've got a little one. The witch that puts a spell on the boy and turns into a beast. Tell me, this is a very popular. Emma Watson was in this new version of this.
Gretel? Is it Hansel and Gretel?
I love
Beauty
that
and the
answer.
Beast.
Beauty and the
Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, it's Beauty and the Beast, isn't it? The word has the beast.
I am on Disney Hour after the webinar.
Yes, we are going to watch. So here we are. These are, stories are what people remember. That's the message I want to give you. There's a book I'm reading called Made to Stick, by Chip and Dan Heath. These are brothers. They say that you will forget statistics. I'll tell you, there are 1,000 people dying on the highway and people because of drinking and driving, you'll forget it. But you hear one episode of, say, Amir Khan, Satyameva Jayate, and one family who somebody's lost because of drinking, driving, you're more concerned. Tell stories to your kids and they'll not forget you or the stories you tell. That's all filler from my end. Back to you, Bhagya and Chandralata ma'am.
Wow, I forgot that I was presenting.
That was little refreshing.
I know, I totally forgot I was doing the job now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, 1 second.
Ma'am, in between some great things, they see Dabang and movies like that. I am that Dabang person. Chulbul Pandey was here. Back to the serious people now.
Oh, serious people? No. Speech therapists are not serious people. They are all fun-loving. We have to be creative and,
Wow. No, I think you both are very cool people. I like the way you
I
interact.
know. Okay, so coming back to toddlers.
Thank you, Daud. Thank you. Let's come back.
It was really, yeah. And then we can do a lot of counting, a lot of, greetings, social greetings like routine, hi, bye, and all of those. And then coming to I have more activities, maybe like the preschoolers and the toddlers kind of go hand in hand. So children with other, co-occurring conditions, like the target goals would be different, but definitely, with help and with modeling and with imitation, only like, delayed language, due to, not a specific reason, or lack of stimulation, things like that, the prognosis is going to be a little, different and fast. So make sure that, you use the same strategy, but like how he did that right now. He showed a picture and he read it to us. And then what he did, he read again and he gave clues, he gave time, he repeated things. So these are all some of the strategies for comprehension. So read, reread, look at it, again you look at it, and then, think about your previous experience, use your knowledge, prior knowledge, and then, come up with the answers. So communication and preschoolers. So now the preschoolers are almost like, are in the stage of asking and answering questions, and they are able to share experiences. They are able to protest things. They are like, little people like, oh, I can do this and I don't want your ideas, things like that. But definitely there are also kids who are kind of needing help to tell, hey, I don't like this. So we can help those kids, how using all of those strategies. Reading books together again, you can do in your own language, or, those recommended books by him was really great. So reading again and again, maybe, will help in mastery of skills. And what, as a speech therapist, what we are teaching is not the concepts or not the, thing. We are teaching him, or we are teaching the strategy to the caregiver. We are teaching the the wiring for the brain. Okay, if you hear this, you're kind of making a connections between listening and processing, and then production. So no one can teach. I'm not in the same classroom that I went into my kindergarten class now. So teachers are changing. The grade kind of goes on. So goes the concept with our profession too. So there is a hierarchy, and where we fall behind, we have to give hands for the kids. Story has story reading and story retelling has tons of things you can do. You can engage the child. So I have kind of come up with a lot of ways in which you can use story for language stimulation and intervention. So I'll show you the table soon. And then also, if kids are already in the process, at the level of answering questions, or verbalizing in phrases, it's very easy to teach them narrative skills of retelling it in their own ways. And you can kind of have guided questions to them. What happened first? What happened next? What happened then? What happened last? And then sometimes what happened is they would not know. So what you can do is this is an example. This is a notebook. It doesn't have any meaning, but definitely I'm showing. So what you can do is you can take the picture of the storybook, and then you can keep on moving. Oh, first what happened? Okay, the child answered one question. So next what happened? Next what happened? Okay, let's go back and tell it again. First, and then you imitate, and then the child tells it back, and then like that. And then you kind of just do fade your prompts or cues, and then just do like a non-verbal prompting, and then kind of take the book off, and then okay, now it's your turn. Can you use your thinking brain? Can you put your thinking cap on? And then you can kind of pick and choose. If the level of the child is kind of a little higher, you can introduce like a lot of more fun and creative activities. If the child is still functioning at the lower level, so what you can do is you can still give success to them by choosing at their level, coming down to earth, giving a lot of more cues to them, and then make them feel when they go out of your session, oh, I did something today. Or over the period of time, the kid should start feeling, oh, Ms. B is helping me, things like that. So encourage a lot of board games. I use a lot of board games, like I have a list that I can kind of email to Chanda, like Connect 4, Shoots and Ladder, Candyland. You can what else? Ludos. So these are all kind of reinforcing games you can have when they are doing roll the dice. So all of those can be like a game where you can read a book first, do the board game, and then when you're done with the reading, you say first reading a book, then the game. And then while they're doing the game, what you can do is after 3 turns of me and the student, or me, student, and another student, what we can do is, okay, after 3 turns, we are going to answer a question about what we read. Okay, so make sure that you have the story on, and then the first child cannot answer question. Then what you can do is, okay, let's show you some picture, I can help you. And then if the child is not able to answer, what you can say is, do you need help? The child can say yes or no. So you're kind of eliciting a response of some communication of needs and wants. If the child is non-verbal, what you can do is yes or no. You can take a picture and show yes or no, and then the child can point to it. And then the level of the child, mode of responses, those things kind of should be tailored according to the group and things. Maybe I'm reading a book about Old MacDonald's Had a Farm. So you can have, like, for a child who is kind of a preschool child who is emerging with only labeling and naming nouns, you can have all those pictures copied or laminated, and then you can kind of say, oh, Old MacDonald's had a farm, and then he had a, and then you can show a dog and a cat, and then somebody said bow bow, who did? And then you can have the child pick and choose and put the Velcro. So those are called adapted books. There are a lot of books that is already pre-made on the internet. You can kind of search as adapted books for alternate communication. You can kind of print it out, and then you can kind of put it together. Or what you can do is you can buy 3 or 4 board books which are not very complex, very simple, and then take a picture of the same things in the book or the real objects, laminate it, and then put a Velcro on the book, and then you can make your own materials. So I was telling you, right, 3:1 model. So the 4th week can be your activity preparation thing. And then you can also show, the 4th week, you can say, hey, mama is going to come and somebody is going to watch us do it. I want you to put your best effort today. And then, or the teacher can, say, I want to come and stop by in your office today. And then, you can you can tell the child, hey, I'm going to have a visitor now. And then, is it okay with you? Make sure you ask the child if that is okay with them. Sometimes what happens is, if the child doesn't like somebody coming in, the anxiety kind of goes up, and the responses would be very different. So make sure that you have the child make the decision, yes or no. Somebody can come in, and you can always make a rapport in the previous session that next week somebody is we're going to have a visitor in Ron's session. So is Ron okay with that? Can I call them and schedule an appointment? Things like that. You have to plan ahead of time. And again, talk, and then so during paper pencil, preschoolers, we can do an art activity, you can do beading activities, sorting activities, depending on the cognitive abilities of the child, attention span, you can use all those strategies to keep expanding. So one more interesting thing, what I would like, they can use it now, or, it can be a home carryover maintenance program, is making a scrapbooks of all the nouns and verbs. What they can do is you get all those pictures in the market. You can help like hand over hand cutting and then making a book on the baby, like child. The mom can spend some time making a book. And then, the child would be very proud. Hey, I have my own book now. And then, every day mom can say, when I'm making some food, can you go get your book? And then, you can have a reading space, reading corner, where the child would go, do a little reading. Or you can do like, from the magazines, you can help cut things, and, you can make a book on your own. One second. Okay, and then you can engage the child in simple cooking activities. Like, for example, I'm making a potato bhaji today. So what I can do is I can cut the potatoes and boil it, and once the the warmness is gone, you can say, can you be a big helper today? Mama's hands are all achy. Pretend as if you can do it, or you are very busy. You can show the child, a preschooler, how to peel the potato, make the child sit there, and then, you can engage in conversations, or, you can help in attention span, you can do like a fine motor thing. And then if you're making an omelette, or if you're making an egg, you can, help the child for sequential. First, what did I do? I took the egg, I broke the egg and put it in a cup, and then I added some salt, and I did, scrambled it, stirred it very well, and then I put the pan on the stove, I switched it on. So you can kind of talk as you did it, and then you can have the child recall and retell with you. And then you can do like a roti, chapati tortilla thing with the child. And then you can have them decorate your things. And then you can do a lot of I Spy games. Okay. With mom, dad, and the siblings together, you can sit at the couch and say, okay, this is a time for something fun. I spy something with my little eyes, something that is red. And then, the child can kind of go and walk and, pick up something and say, hey, and then maybe, you know, start very simple, small, more successful, you know, something. If the child is 3-year-old, you know, you and your partner, or you and your sibling, like a older sibling, can kind of, you know, do some thing. Okay, keep the, you know, red glass on the TV stand, you know, take a shoe and whatever color, put it like, you know, a little bit off track, so it's kind of shown to the baby, you know, something. Okay, I spy something with my little eyes. So you're always going to make the same actions. I spy something with my little eyes, something, and then, you know, you are kind of doing a little surprise to the baby, so the child is going to kind of hear. So this kind of helps in asking, answering questions, pronouns, attention, visual scanning, describing. So a lot of goals are kind of, you know, you're putting it together in one game. So every day, or, you know, at least 2 to 3 times a week, if you play some games, you know, as a mom and dad, with this busy life, you're kind of calming up yourself, and also you're helping the child, you know, unlock their skills. And loading, unloading the laundry, feeding a pet, cleaning up, you know, dusting the furnitures. You know, you can clean up the toy room, and then you can help them fold little tiny their own clothes, and then sorting the socks, sorting the things in the, you know, kitchen. So I know the style in India is very different. You know, you have a maid to do that, but definitely you can be a little helper in some ways or the other. You know, as moms and dads, we have to be a little bit creative. Make sure we are kind of helping the child to become independent, safe, and happy. So those are the 3 goals we have to have in mind before we choose an activity. You cannot go give a knife to the child and say, hey, you know, cut all these carrots for me today. No. So instead of that, okay, you can take a peeler and then, you know, show the child. Make sure you do hand over hand. Make sure that the child is safe enough to do it. If the child scratches, then, you know, like, you know, the child would start getting more anxious if the child is seeing the blood, or, you know, even that one can kind of give room for more, you know, language and communication. Oh, you have a, okay, let's go. Mama will do it. Let's go put the band-aid on you. And then, you know, you are kind of making connection with the child. So anything and everything is possible, but make sure you're mindful about the goals of the child, how we can carry over this. Okay, so listening is the first phase of learning a language. So, one second, did I pass too much? Bear with me. Something. Oh. What happened? Can you hear me, Chanda?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to my PowerPoint thing. I have to present it. Can you guys see? One second, okay? Please bear with me. Okay, I think I'm almost coming to the end before we kind of share other things. So listening is the first phase of learning a language. So listen, so your child needs to hear words, songs, conversations repeatedly in that language. Either it could be a first language or second language, and you have to be, you know, a big part in that, and then it has to be cherished by the family. So I myself, I'm kind of, you know, from a multilingual background, so I'm kind of helping my kids learn the other language, whatever I know. So, you know, it's really interesting how my kids are learning, and, you know, everybody is kind of appreciating. So the reinforcement kind of, you know, helps them to move forward in their life. So as such that, as a speech therapist, you have to make sure that if the family has a preference for their primary language, or if they wanted to do therapy in English, so pick and choose what is needed and what is helpful for the family and the child and make the decision. And these are some of the activities that I have put together. So for the child to be independent verbal request, what all you can do, you have to create a demand first and keep the things away, and then have the child point to it or use words to ask. If the child is in the stage that, okay, the child is not verbal, making two choices, I was telling, right? You want this one or you want this one. And then have another parent point to, and then, give it, and then do a lot of talk about that. And then continue appreciating when the child points to everything in the house. And then do not immediately prompt your child. You have to give some time. How, he took a quiz with us, right? What did he do? He presented it and he gave a pause. He read to us and then a pause, and then it took us a little while to respond. So we have to make sure that we process that, right? So sender sends a message, recipient has to decode it and then kind of respond. So give some time, like a lot of repetitions is needed. So make sure that we do that. And then read to the child every day, have a routine for reading, and following one-step directions first. Start always very simple and sweet. Okay, can you put the shoes in the box? Can you put all the Legos in the box? So you're going to take a big bag and walk around with the child. Okay, if you tell the child, go clean up the room, the child is not going to do. What you have to do is, you have to act as if, oh, my hands are achy. I want to help her to put all the Legos. Okay, let's pick up all the green ones. Let's pick up all the blue ones, yellow ones. Okay, we are all done. We're going to zip it up. Talk as you do, and then put it on the corner. Okay, we're going to put all the vegetables in the bin and all the dollies in the bin. Have some organization, and that's very helpful. And then when you're doing that, you can always use these cards. I don't know if you have been using that. First, then these are all available on the internet, or you can make it. What I do is, sometimes I don't get a printer, I don't get laminated sheets. Now I have everything. When I started, what I do is I take a piece of paper, whichever school I go, I just do first and then what I do is, first I will say work with Miss B, which is me, and then next is whatever I kind of, depending on the interest of the child. If I have worked a lot with self-contained classroom, so where it'll be like a 13-year-old but asking for a bubble, 13-year-old asking to kind of read a board book. They will have their own one second. Oh, something is, what is this one? Okay, oops, sorry. I think, okay. Okay, so first then is really helpful. Then that kind of helps us to transition between things. When the child comes, what we can do is, I have a laminated sheet like my schedule today. So what I do is, first I kind of give him choices, telling that, okay, we have to work on K sound. We are going to do like a little reading a story, and then we are going to do this, and then the child kinds of picks and chooses. First, what do they do, and then next. And then once the child is done with the first one, either the thing goes, I can draw and show you. This is all like, you have to spend time and make it. And then it'll look like this. So this is like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Okay, and all the pictures will be here. Like, reading a book, going for a walk, play in the swing, play a game. work with Miss B, read a book or whatever. So what the child would do is, first, maybe if the child is a spectrum, child, the child would like to have a little calming break, right? So what we can do is we can go to the swing first and then come to reading, and then we can do a little, whatever, like coloring, or then, you can pick and choose and then have the child use it. So first, the child is not going to do on child's own. What you can do is you can help the child and say yes or no. Okay, do you want to do read a book first, or you want to do this first? And you can put something, and then if the child, then you say, okay, first we are going to work with Miss B, then we are going to color something, then we are going to play in the swing, and then we are going to say goodbye. And then the child would say, oh, I don't want to do anything, I want to say goodbye first. Oh, then you have to say, oh, that's not okay today. We are here to learn. It's time to learn. And then you got to do this goodbye last, okay? So you can kind of put the first three things, like, give the leadership and, decision making to the child. Okay, if you know the child likes to play in the swing, you can offer the child, oh, do you want to play in the swing first? Okay, let's put it in the number 1. And then, okay, make sure first swing, then read a book. You have to keep reminding. And then I always use a timer. Like, sometimes I have a visual timer, or I do like a timer in my phone. And then when I would always tell, okay, we are going to do 3 minutes in the swing. And after 3 minutes, we are all done. And then we are going to go read a book. And then I carry this one with the child wherever the child goes. Maybe, like, I have worked in outpatient clinics where, my room is like, they have a gym in the center. So the child can pass the gym when they come to me. So what they do is, oh, that is more interesting than what I am going to talk, because this lady keeps on talking. But the OT is kind of, they throw the ball, they do the tunnel walking, they do crawling, they do
Just a minute, Bhagya. I would like to remind. Say, many a times we feel that the child is not listening to us, or the child is throwing temper tantrums, or the child does not want to move from one activity to the other activity. During this moment, a visual schedule works wonders. In India, we are not used to working with pegs or, constantly using visual schedules. But visual schedules get stability in the child's mind. It gives them a proper idea as to, I finished this and then I can go home. So for an autistic child or a child from the spectrum, it becomes pretty easy to define, oh, this is the when I'm going to go out. Oh, this is what I have to do. So then it is a very well-defined activity. Also, we are so engrossed in taking tabletop activities that we do not think of a swing. We do not think of, giving a child a sensory massage. We never think of doing such kind of activities. However, most of them would want to have a sensory toy in their hand. Sometimes they like to keep a squeezing ball in their hand. Sometimes they like to keep a squiggly toy or anything. Let them have it, because that creates a sense of calmness. But as far as I go, I have seen that keeping that in one hand, the other hand, they are very easily workable. The time you take away that, it creates such a big havoc. It's very difficult.
So that's what I was kind of mentioning is, like, use a timer, be very, if this doesn't come on its own, if you tell, oh, I'm going to do first this, next this, it's not good. The child is going to rebel the first day, second day, third day. But you have to make sure that this is either a preferred or this is a preferred activities, in the sense, oh, the child likes a swing. That's what you remember I was telling, you have to have a detailed analysis of the child. Collaboration with the OTs and the parents is very needed, because things changes every day.
Many a times we do not collaborate with an autist. However, when it comes to a child development center and all of us are working together, it becomes our sole purpose to get everything together. So as in, when you're working with the child, do even if you're not working or you're working single-handedly, do take an opinion from the OTist. Do ask the OTist, okay, what are the reinforcers that they're giving. Always take the, okay, these are the reinforcers that work. Oh, these are the things that they work. Okay, these are the things. So make a note of it and see how you can also incorporate. A child needs a holistic goal. A child does not perform separately in speech, separately OT. A child is the whole. The child is the shape. As Bhagya mentioned, he is the whole, he is the soul. So when we're working, all professionals should work. We will work in a long run only when we work together.
Okay. So yeah, and actually I have learned this when I was a student in graduate, like bachelor's and master's, but definitely sometimes I think I have applied it, but after going there, like, you know, this has been very, very helpful, because, you know, you get to be thrown into a setting, you don't know anyone, you kind of learn how to swim on your own. So find strategies, you know, how you can kind of, because, you know, most of the people here, you guys work in private settings, right? You are the bread maker. So make sure that your creativity is going to pay for your bread. So definitely. And then, you know, like I have mentioned a lot of things like bouncy ball and then ball pit. I don't know if those are all available here. Ball pit means like those soft, squishy balls with colored things, because, you know, spectrum kids, they like to be a little bit more visual, and they like to be a little bit more sensory. So what happens is the gym word, if you go online, you can kind of see a gym in a private, you know, outpatient clinic in US. So, you know, if somebody is interested to do some kind of a private setting, you can always get like ideas put together. It'll be a little investment, but definitely the interior makes a...
But you know what, for 6 months, I worked with a child in the ball pool. The child used to only work in the ball pool. Child used to only work in the swing. There are children who only work on the swing. There are children who only work in the ball pool.
Hey, you know, I have done a lot with swing. You know what I do? For every 3 moves, we label one thing. And
Yes,
then for every, you know, couple of things, we do, you know, K sound or S sound or whatever sound. Even, you know, non-spectrum kids, they like swinging, they like crawling in the tunnel. What we do is we put the tent or a tunnel, and or we create it, like, you know, keep 2 chairs and put a blanket. Okay, my kids create that in our own house. If they don't have tunnel, if they are, you know, bored, they do like a castle or a tunnel, and then they go under, come out, and then do 5 math problems. And then they do, you know, for typicals also something interesting, right? So you create a tunnel by keeping 2 chairs and a blanket, like a dark place. Okay, you're going to go in and out. So you're going to learn 2 concepts: go in, come out. We're going to do. So what you do is, in the first, and then you say, you know, tunnel, and then work with Miss B, whatever, like, you know, we're going to do cards or card game or whatever. So it depends on, you know, the tailor according to the needs of the child. These are all some activities that I'm telling, but, you know, definitely everything cannot kind of fit in your plate, but definitely you are more than welcome to use everything, whatever. And communicating well with your children improves your bond with them, and listening helps. And, you know, what happens is when the child is not fluent to express the emotions, you know, the child gets frustrated, anger comes into picture, and, you know, the meltdown comes into picture. So you can have like a calming area even in the room, you know, where you can go into your bedroom or in the couch, and you can give a tight squeeze to the child. Or if there is a blanket, which is kind of, you know, hug the child with the blanket, and then you can talk to the child, kind of tell back sequence. Oh, you know what, you did this, mama did not like it, so that is a consequence. So you need to make sure that you don't do this. So, and then, you know, you kind of, you know, reason or problem solve. Will you do this again? The child can say no, and then kind of come back to whatever. And then inside every book is wealth of questions. So keep using a lot of reading books again. And then I have found that, you know, instead of having like 2-hour session, 1-hour session, I have found that 2 10-minute session is very, very beneficial. there is something called 5-minute therapy. If you can Google and find out, I have mentioned in one of the table activities. So what happens is it's very good for articulation therapy, or if we are going to work on pronouns or verbs or things like that. One skill at a time for 5 minutes, twice a day. And then you can give worksheets to parents, and then they can kind of work on it at home. And then there are places where you can kind of have them initial, if you did work and what was the response, and then it kind of helps in home carryover activities. And then what else? Home practice will make progress towards meeting the goals very faster. So it's, as I was telling you, right, parents, speech therapist, parents, and then they kind of collaborate well. And then I think we are done with the slides.
Yeah, I think ma'am is stuck a little while.
No,
Chandra ma'am, can you take over? Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to be back. I think she was to show just a few things. We can stop the recording now.
Okay, should I?